though. All right. So for the people that were just watching the videos, I cut off, and I'm just going to point out a couple things that we went over that it didn't get recorded. I was saying that the breasts, as far as forms go, are smaller forms, and it looks as though he attempted to have two breasts, one that was, hanging a little bit lower. I mean, gravity is having its effect. The rib cage up here is structural. The deltoid and the shoulder girdle, the humerus, all of that is structural. The fat is superficial tissue that has various levels of like viscosity or whatever. So this is kind of drooping a little bit, and then and is variable based on angle and positioning. So then you have this crease here, which could actually be cleavage, but it doesn't matter whether it's cleavage or bone, it's the position of the sternum. And then I think there was another breast that was here that didn't go well. And so he actually cut it in, and the part of the breast that was supposed to be shown became shadow. And then he created a new contour showing this bulge right here, which is actually the acostal arch. It's the top of the rib cage that comes across here. We're going to get into knowing where the center line is, where this sternum is going to help us with where potentially the muscles of the abdomen would be versus the side of the rib cage kind of protruding out here and then dipping in. There's this shadow here, which is the underplane of that. This is the top plane of the ribs. If I put in, and I'll do a little x-ray vision here, so if there were ribs that ran this way, and then you have this little fat roll that's right here, but it's not, that is not the obliques. The obliques are the love handles that are in between, the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the pelvic bone. So I have to do this subterranean, anatomy, or else, this whole region doesn't make sense. And this whole region may not make sense. He may not know all of the intricacies of the anatomy that was going on in there. So he was then, fell back on that concept that we were talking about earlier of, just right brain observation. Where there's a dark tone, put a dark tone. Where there's a line in between one form and another form, put the line there. Not necessarily infusing it with anatomical knowledge base. And I think I just mentioned this like middle region is where all the movement happens, and then that's where most of anatomy is hidden. You think about a ballerina with a tutu, you have the high-waisted structure of the rib cage and the arms, very graceful, very elegant. Then you have the legs that are below that, also structural, beautiful movements. And you can make this kind of intentional disconnect between the torso and the pelvis and the legs, and hide a lot of the movement to create a deeper sense of elegance and grace and the costumes do that. And if you look at Degas as an artist, he's able to do that as well. In fact, there's some where there are, one torso is facing forward and the pelvis is facing backwards, and he does it to just play a joke on the viewer about how you just accept the positioning and the disconnect. Your brain just allows you to see it. So as we come through here, I'm going to try to reveal the underpinning of the anatomy, and then we're gonna lose it. Then we're just going to erase it again, and we're going to save lose it for the for the beauty of the single line. Okay, so first things first, we've got this round breast that has some reflected light in it, which is nice. And then the underplane of this acostal arch goes darker. And then it's, of course, in contact with the ground, which gives us this dark shadow. And then the forearm, the head, and the torso with the light from up above is throwing a deeper shadow on the ground. And I wouldn't go so dark that he did. He was correcting a mistake.
Good boy.
In my
Good
opinion.
boy.
Okay, so we're going to go light on this top plane dark on the front plane, and then it's going to go light again. And then the contact point of this belly is a round part. Okay, so it is known from, we're getting basically the back of the, all right, so with this narrow waist is going to be a trapezoid. It's going to be a plane, this amazing plane. Actually, the woman who made this famous in current times is was Sharon Stone, actually. There's this video, the movie Sliver, do you remember? It's from back in the 90s. And there's a scene where she was in this reclining pose, and it went from her shoulder to a rib cage, deep down into a low waist, and then back up to her hips. And it was actually a really powerful shot, very sexy shot too. So that's what's happening here. The shoulder comes down, we're dipping down into this narrow waist, and then because the hips are opened up, but we're gonna, let me like overly simplify it. So we're gonna go up plane here, and then we're gonna see the front plane here. And then we're gonna see the side plane, which now becomes the top. And then we're gonna see, and then we're gonna build the synthesis pube, there's a ASIS, which is the hip bone, and then hip bone, and then synthesis pubis, which is the front plane of the pelvis. The side plane of the pelvis is this hip bone that arcs across here. Then we're going to get the gluteus medius, which is one arc, and then the muscle that turns the corner to head back down is gluteus maximus. So this top plane, you can actually see that. So the very peak of our, the very peak of the mountain is the turn from, the side plane, the back plane of the glutes to the under plane of the glutes, which is basically the seat. The reason this corner exists is the same way the seat of a chair meets with the backing of the chair. This, you can imagine if she were seated in a chair, this would be the back, and then it would turn the corner, and you would have the seat if she was sitting down. All right, now I wish I could describe the rest of the pelvis, but we need to build the mass of the thighs, and they are a cube. So we're going to have the top plane and then the front plane of those thighs. And like I said, they almost awkwardly dip into the knee block. And I wish that, I could have seen this pose. The knee block is the position of the kneecap. So what I did here, I actually will draw it. This is the top of the thigh. And then it angles in. Bam, bam. Dips in. And then we're going to get the knee block right here. You see that cube?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, and then the kneecap is, it's basically like a shield. I'm not going to go there. And then at the back of the knees, at the back corner of the knee block, we're going to turn and go down the calf, which is another block. We don't see the bottom of the block. We have to use X-ray vision in order to see it because the fabric comes in front of it. And then that is going to cascade into the ankle. And then we'll see the very two-dimensional, foot. So it's like the ankle into the bridge of the foot, and then the bridge of the foot into the toes. but unfortunately, he's not interested in feet. He may have, this is where he may be kind of revealing his blindness when it comes to hands and feet. He's like, he might be pulling like a Syrah, where he's finding creative ways to hide hands and feet so he doesn't have to do them.
Thanks, that's so helpful.
Yeah, can you just continue with the lower leg, and so we can get.
Okay, so when we do this lower leg, the bottom part of the thigh, comes in front, and you want to imagine like this. There's like a the swimsuit, where the triangular front of the swimsuit. This thigh is a beautiful S curve. And then you get like the top plane of the thigh would be, this very inner part, but really the most of what we're seeing of that, of the leg that's in contact with the ground is the top of the thigh. And so this is the front plane. And then he makes the break again. So you can see how this is the flat part, and then it angles up. That is where the same plane change. I mean, she may have had like very thick, like strong thighs and then narrow ankles or narrow knees. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. So I don't know, but.
Don't you think that her left knee is poking forward a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So this is where the thigh breaks and it comes in, and then you get the knee here. So the knees are basically touching. So this knee comes in the top leg knee comes in front of the bottom knee. But that's what's so wild about how that thigh cuts under.
Okay. Trevor?
Yeah.
I have to take Tuk out. So
Okay.
I actually rushed through. Can I show you? Because I think it went from 5th grade to 7th.
Oh, show us.
And I'll come back as quickly as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I made a little presumption here too, which is great. All right, let me stop the share for real quick, Stace.
A little better, right?
Yeah.
We can ignore those.
And hold on.
You're showing a lot of your left leg here,
Left leg.
but it's nice.
Am I supposed to?
Well, your knee at the knee, the one leg goes underneath the other, so you're actually drawing two legs.
Oh,
It doesn't
show
matter.
to me?
It doesn't matter, but look at that. Wonderful.
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And the broken lines allow you a lot of wiggle room, like it's very Cezanne-y, you know how Cezanne had like multiple broken lines to represent the edge. You're allowed to get away with it.
Okay. Okay, I'll be back shortly.
Okay, yeah, go take talk.
Can
I'm gonna steal some of that action.
Can I take a pic of yours really, really fast, Tucker?
Trevor.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Hey, it's very close.
It's a compliment.
Okay, Tuck, come.
Go boy, Tuck. Oh, okay. So let's see check out what I did here. So I had this little shadow here. This is where the thigh really comes in front of the symphysis pubis, which is the middle of the abdomen, and then the thigh, the right thigh comes in front of that as well. So you make that that beautiful triangle. So we know where the middle of the body is, where the legs come together. And then if you come back up here, where the middle of the rib cage is because of the crease of the sternum. And then the costal arch comes in. So what we don't know, and what he did not place, was the the belly button. And so the ACES, symphysis pubis makes a triangle, but so does ACES, and the belly button. So does belly button and the nipple. So does the nipples and the clavicle. There's just like these kite-shaped triangles all over the place that you can, use as relational, straight line relationships. So what wasn't there? So I've came up through the middle of the legs to get the center, the bilaterally symmetrical line, and then it comes in and I can link them up. And if you link them up, then you can take the ACES, which is the anterior superior iliac spine, the anterior superior iliac spine, and then you can make that a triangle relative to where the belly button would be if if you were seeing this in person. All right, so I'm going to erase some of these construction lines and leave a very faint contour line at the top. I'm really happy with the contour line along the bottom. And I don't know, like maybe I'll have some indications of the fabric. But I think what we're going to have to do is once we get the contour line of the top, we're going to have to lay in some shadow lines. So we have the contour of the line of the top of the body silhouette, and then also the inner part of the right leg. So there's going to be top and bottom of that leg. But this is a really important contour line. And the back of the thigh is a really important contour line, and then so is the contour line along the bottom of the legs. Cool. And in theory, it should go faster. So I'm erasing the top plane. I'm going to erase the front plane. I'm going to erase the top plane marks and then erase the corner. Almost makes this little like heart shape shadow here, which is just purely observable. I can erase the structural lines that I put in my book. So we have anatomical edges for the back of the knee to ankle to the corner of the foot. The lines that represent the front of that leg are fabric. Huh. They're purely fabricated. Yeah, they're not defining. They're not defining any anatomy. It's just the way that particular fold came in front. So we can't, what I'm saying is we can't glean any real information anatomically from that part. So here's this dip. I made that a little too low. If I made that low, then this has to come forward. Okay. That comes forward, you get the obliques, and the obliques turn into the straight edge of the back of the pelvis. Okay, that's good. Refine the line. Now, even with like my kind of new age construction lines, actually finding the center of our figure. If you were to actually, draw a line through, the middle of the forehead, middle of the nose, middle of the lips, down through the center, it's actually a nice, elegant curve. And I'm wondering if any of our shadow lines, conform to that. So this would be like kind of the narrow part of the waist, the high waist. And then, that would be like the neck of the pear, and then the body of the pear angles out. And we don't have any, kind of contact with there's no shape because of the body's being, emphasis, pushed up. The hips are higher than they would be naturally because, the ground plane is the straight line, so we're getting this flatness that is, the shoulders are forced higher because there's more mass down there. And then the waist appears even thinner because it's flattening out along the bottom. And then this hip is up higher because, all of this is now all on this flat plane of the tabletop. That makes sense, right? So there's an S curve that naturally happens in the human body. And then here it's just like the wide parts are pushed up, the narrow parts are pushed down. So that's where we get these like peaks and valleys of the human figure because the one side of the body is flattened out so hard. And those peaks and valleys would not be so high and low respectively if there was not a firm bed. This is like a board or a bench. There's probably more of a bench that has a cloth over it than a bed, because it would just, the extremes wouldn't be as extreme. These tones really become kind of a coloring project. Beautiful S curve. That waist. And if you look at there's a crisp edge at the costal arch, a soft edge at the belly, just tonal at the abdomen, and then there's a broken line at the start of the thigh. Straight line, convex, concave, plane change, ankles in. The dude, this little line here that he traverses is really nice. I don't know if there's top of the kneecap, round part transition to the top of the tibia, comes up over the shins, which would be whatever those shin muscles are, and then it cuts off at the ankle. Now the bottom line, as far as that shape goes, can be almost anything because it's the cloth. And then the way that he shades that is not by, describing the form. There's no bracelet lines. He's kind of, almost flattens out that shadow shape by using these parallel lines. And honestly, I should not have even had a line. My shadow gets violated because I put the line up there. And the shadow should end not with a line, but with the tone. And I probably didn't even deserve to put that shadow in because I haven't even done these contour lines yet. God bless you. God save you.
Thank you.
That was good. So this, as far as I did the contours of all the way to the glutes. And then as I put this back of the thigh, the line in, then I did the front. Then there's a moment of a broken line here where that angles in this way, and then this angles that way. Then this part dumps this way, and then this goes that way, and then it turns the corner, and then I turn the corner at the top. And then cut in. So that's what kind of the enclosures sort of ended. You know, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, and then the fabric comes in, so I only get the tops up here. And there's not as many enclosures along the front either. And it really does have come down to people, I was going to say, it comes down to right brain thinking. You know, you are going to, you do have to make sure the marks are in the right place, and they're the proper angle and the proper darkness, light and dark. Those are kind of like these touch-ups that I'm making. I am thinking about anatomy, but I'm also, you know, drawing the drawing. You know, I want to make the drawing look good. You know, it has to have the anatomy, but it also has to have the aesthetic. It also has to have like the beauty. And you know, so you can be accurate in two ways. You can be accurate with the angle and the shape and the beauty of the mark. You can also be accurate in terms of, you know, how it fits in the anatomical landscape. And some people rely really heavily on anatomy, and it feels like, you know, it can be sometimes a little too cold and like academic or even scientific. And then there's people that, you know, emphasize observation too much, and it becomes almost cartoonish and wiggly. And, you know, wherever you fit on both of on that spectrum, you know, winds up becoming your style.
That line that you put in, Trevor, I don't know what it's called anatomically, but it runs from the whole chest bone down to the pubic area.
Yeah.
What is that? Pardon?
It's just like the bilaterally symmetrical line. I mean, it's where,
Line.
where humans have a center point where they mirror each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can have dynamic symmetry where, you know, you're not just standing there straight forward. There's like torso turns this way, pelvis turns that way. So it is symmetrical still, but you're getting different views of those different parts. So this little,
that really is
torque.
helpful seeing that.
There's torque in there. Yeah, and that in theory would also echo the spine as well. I mean, if I were to look through the back, you would have an echoing of that spine.
Yeah. And I just realized it's a pillow between her legs.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, is it not?
It's her left thigh, we think.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah. You're talking about this case.
Is that the pillow? Is the pillow down under? Like under her?
I think it's I was calling it fabric, but it's probably more accurate to call it a pillow.
Right, from the knee down.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's we kind of mentioned that on your other one, because you would you would almost drawn the pillow as if it were the leg.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it or see it as a leg because I couldn't think of what else.
So cool. It's great. I like these. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because there are some. He does frame it out too, which is kind of neat. He gives us there's a pillow. There's a pillow on this end. So that would make sense, Stacy, that there would be some, pillow action.
Yeah, yeah.
He includes the pillow here.
I can't draw it, but I can see it.
I'm wondering if he was using some of these wrinkles, to help guide him, the folds, relating the distances off the folds. Seeing, we didn't do it this way, but for a tracker, if you have these kind of arbitrary folds, you can be like, okay, well, how far is, this fold is here, this fold is here. How far is the connection between the thighs versus the belly button versus the, the bottom of the breast, lining all those kind of important parts up. Cool. I think it looks great. And there is a really nice use of broken lines. Broken lines versus tonal lines. When I say tonal lines, I mean, the line that's suggested in the top of the shadow and the bottom of the shadow. The crease in the left leg, that lower leg. It's not a crisp hard line. It's a thick, softer one.
Trevor,
Mm.
what is the pointed area right under the breast closest to the table?
Let me have a look. Okay, what is it?
Directly under the breast on the table. What is that pointed triangular mark?
That is the
Yeah.
acostal arch. That's the acostal arch.
And I don't, is that like
It's
the
like
rib?
yeah. So
I don't know what that is.
I'll sketch it over here. So you have the head, then you have the rib cage,
Yeah,
and then you have the, I'll do there's the pelvis, humerus, hip to knee, knee to ankle. And there's the foot. You have the trapezius in the back, shoulder to elbow, elbow to wrist, wrist to hand. Right, that's our figure. Oops.
yeah,
Okay, so the important landmarks, you have the pit of the neck,
yep,
which is where one clavicle and the other two clavicles meet. Sternocleidomastoid is a muscle, attaches to that. You get the sternum off of that, so the breastbone.
yeah.
Now the ribs make this really beautiful oval. It's an incomplete oval, but it's an oval. So you have the side of the ribs here, the side of the ribs here, and then where the ribs only come down, partially. So the way where the ribs end, there is a cartilage arch that is called the acostal arch, and that cartilage ridge, is where the abdomen muscles begin above that. So if you have like a six-pack, this is structure, and the breasts also attached to that as well. So the breasts attached to the sternum, and then the bottom of the breast attached to the ribs and the acostal arch.
I got it.
Yeah. So then we got the asis and the symphysis pubis. So the pelvic block here that I built, the top two corners are asis, the middle is symphysis pubis, and that gets you that kind of triangular happening. And then
So-
from the
so is
AFIS, you have the arch of the hip bone on this side, arch of the hip bone on this side, and above that are the obliques. Above that are the
Okay.
love handles.
So
And
the
then below
aces are the
that
top of
is
the hip bone.
What's that?
The aces are the top of the hip bone.
It's the front, yeah, the top of the hip bone.
Right.
Front.
Okay.
Now, what the weird thing is that what creates the pelvic block is the ball and socket joint of the, of the femur. So there's a ball and socket joint. The ball is here. It angles out, and then the femur angles back in. So the ball and socket angles out, and then the femur comes back in to the knee blocks here.
Mhm.
So the pelvic block is tricky because the hips themselves make this inner triangle, almost like a bowl,
Yeah.
almost like a bowl shape, that's narrow at the base and then wider along the top. And then it's the ball and socket that create the, that classic mini skirt shape. And it's really, it's took a long time for me to negotiate that, like the geometry with the anatomy. And then the love handles come out even further and almost make it seem like the pelvis is higher than it actually is, because the empire waist is higher because the obliques come out. So the bottom where the ribs come in at the narrowest point at the bottom, then the love handles happen. So then you have this empire waist, which is way up here, but then you have your hips that are way down there, and you're like, what the hell? So then, yeah, and then the trapezoids of the widest part of the hips of the thighs, are from symphysis pubis out to the femur, and then they angle in. Then you get the knee block, and then you get the knee block here, and then the tibia curves. It's not straight; it curves into the ankle. So
Very
yeah,
helpful.
So what I was pointing out here is these hips here are here and here, but then the narrowest part of the rib cage is up here. So all of this in the middle, this like weird plane, you're like, what is that? And it's all of those transitions. It's the arc of the hip bone, which comes up. The asis is lower. The hip bone comes up real high. Then you get the love handles. And then again, you have all this extra room because she's also like kind of stretched out and compressed. So the mountain is peaking up here, angled up. The narrow waist is compressed, and then these hips kick up, all because it's on this flat surface.
Mm-hmm.
So you get those extremes and if you look at the standing figure, the shoulders are here, the narrow waist is here, the hips are here. That is, those are not the same extremes. Distance wise.
Very helpful.
Yeah, good.
And I think it's really interesting.
That's what that bump is. So that bump is this arc right here, seam, touching the ground, touching the flat table.
And I really like how, in my opinion, it's balanced so nicely with the I see it as a triangle of the ankle.
Yeah, I actually think that so check this out. This is the ankle here. I actually do think that there should be a line right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see exactly what you mean. I think it would read nicer.
I agree. So I can put that in my own drawing. So now I have the ankle has an enclosure, violated with the pillow. And some of these, I could add some shadow underneath here so you can show that thigh comes out from underneath this thigh, comes down flat, and then goes underneath, and then where it's in contact with the ground is the darkest part.
So why wouldn't you put the shadow under the heavier line of the leg above it?
Yeah, like right here, you mean?
No.
That, I
The
mean,
inside of
this
the-
would be a
no.
really beautiful, I know, but like what you're saying is like, there are beautiful cavernous moments. You know, this is a cavernous moment. This could be a little cavernous moment. This is a cavernous moment. That's another cavernous moment. You know, that would be, those should be, used. Okay, but what were you saying?
I was referring to the inside
In
of the
here?
underside of that thigh. Yep.
Yeah, that should be a cavernous moment too. But it may be an issue of, it's not propriety, but.
But in reality, that would have a shadow under
Yeah, and it would
that,
actually,
right?
and it would be throwing a shadow on there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure I'm thinking correctly anatomically.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and you could even put one, maybe flatten the chin out, get a little cavern in here. Get a little cavern underneath, in between the palm and the arm. Would be nice. Even at there should be a little indication of like the trapezius meeting with the clavicle too. There would be a moment right there. You actually put the fingers all the way up. That's nice. Yeah, and who knows? I mean, he may have run out of time. I wonder who this artist is. Let's see if we can find some of his art.
It's
George Hendrik Breitner. Art.
Yours looks so much better than his, Trevor.
Oh,
doesn't
thanks.
it?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I also had 2 hours and he probably had 20 minutes. So there's a lot. I mean, he was able, if you're drawing from life, there's only so much. And to be able to get this, I mean, this drawing still really is this is an achievement. I mean, his work is really good. I just did a nice job. I definitely was able to, in terms of time, was able to be more invested.
He's a good boy.
Oh, this guy's more modern. What year was this? We're looking. Oh, that's fun. That makes me happy. Yeah, looks like 1897. Yeah, so he's like basically like an impressionist or whatever. This is what the guy looks like. This is sweet. Okay, cool. Before I was in a different. So yeah, and the reason he got all these straight lines is this is French. This is like French Academy. This is the Barg. Okay, got it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, he loved doing these reclining figures.
Well, he does them well.
I think. Yeah, here's this might be our girl. I don't know, it's hard to say. There's this one. Should focus in a second.
It's a little one,
Yeah, well, it looks
a
like
child.
Yeah, it looks like a kid.
Mhm.
Let's see. There's this one. all of that fabric.
Fabric, the walls, the,
Yeah, there's pillows here too. And look at the background, how he's got these vertical moments, orienting him.
mm-hmm.
That looks like a kid too. Is that a little doll?
Oh, yeah.
It could be a doll. Or it
Yeah,
could
at
be a
first I thought it was like a
Could be a
bottle of vodka.
fan. Could be a fan too. And he's obviously loves these big kimonos. It's Eastern red. It's called red. The title of the piece is called Red Kimono.
Mm,
A girl in red kimono, excuse me.
it's really nice.
I just wish we could. There's other versions of it. People must have loved it. Whenever there's an artist that does the same thing, I mean, he just been paying this kimono. I mean, he probably got, it made him money. Like there's 3 separate pieces, 4 separate kimono pieces. He did come out of a brown, looked like it came out of sort of a brown school tradition. There's the self-portrait.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, there's some still life objects, some flowers, some street scenes. It looks like William Merritt Chase might have done some of, he feels very William Merritt Chasey. Whether he was it's hard to say who came first, but I suspect this guy did. Ooh, 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 ooh. This is so you can shop this one. Let me type in the guy's name and reclining nude, because there was a poster of a reclining nude that was for sale. Oh God, look at this one. Yes. There you go. Come on, focus.
Talk about S curves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Again, that knee, similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
the knee, the hips, the breast. This is our girl. I think this is her. The arm folded over itself, the dark hair, fair skin, dark hair.
Mhm. The pillow.
The cavernous
fabric.
moment, him cowarding. Look at he cowards away from the toes, and the hands. But he loves these little moments in the hips and the thighs. He's a thigh guy. Let's see this one. Beautiful. Lower contrast, but do you see how he's got his thing? He's got his shtick. The arms are folded above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves this contour edge of the silhouetted edge as the landscape. Ooh, man, this could be the same. This might actually be a similar day. I mean, look at it is our piece. Look at this is our hips.
But look how she's leaning over, and so you see her
Yeah.
back. I like that.
Yeah, it's turned even further, and he's higher. He's above looking down rather than seated. So like this becomes an edge. So where you don't see how you can see the whole top plane of the bed or the mattress, and then the side plane. That's how you know we're above looking down. This I think is the exact same pose from a different angle. Do you see that? Do you see what happens if we sink down? Let's see if we can see these both at the same time. So if we were just to stand up, it's not the exact same pose. The arms are a little different. Where is her arms on? Where's her left arm on this one?
Underneath.
Maybe it's hidden like the feet and the hands.
Yeah, it could be dangling down. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you painted feet like that, wouldn't you hide them? see. There's our, I think this is our model.
Wow.
The hair
And
is
she's
full.
always shying away from the camera, always. Her face.
Did we look at this one already? We did. That was just a
Mhm.
wow, look at this guy. That's a handsome,
The light, the way the light plays is really,
dramatic.
Is that Breitner also?
William, this is William Bremer. This is a different artist.
'Cause
Yeah,
his
you see, he does hands and feet.
hands and feet, right?
Yeah.
nice hands and feet too.
Yeah, look at those feet. Never thought I'd say that, right? Look at those feet.
Yeah, that took a George Hendrik Breitner. This is a standing figure.
Yeah, she does have hefty thighs.
Mm-hmm. And you know, smaller upstairs. Very powerful deltoids too. Same big feet.
Doesn't like feet.
Mm-mm.
Like I said, I mean, look how big. I mean, it's like a hobbit. But he
Like
does, I
a-
mean, you can just tell the area of focus is, you know, the thighs and the thighs, legs, and you know, he doesn't even like, you know, the faces either. But he included the belly button on this one. That is gorgeous painting in here.
The difference in tone.
I mean, it's like you can do anything you want. You can't do everything. Look at the play of this shadow versus the red triangle versus the look at those two shadows playing off of each other. You know,
And the red fabric.
This is a cast shadow, which actually, Stacy, you were talking about. So this is light side, shadow side,
Yeah.
and the thrown shadow. And then this is the reflected, this is a shadow, but with extreme reflected light coming off of that, you know, the kimono, the disrobed kimono. The negative space, look at the space between those arms, you know, the arm cage. Yeah, that's a powerful negative space. You know, the hands are abbreviated.
And I think the curve of that one hip is beautiful.
Isn't it amazing how much depth of the insight we can get after just doing, you know, and that's probably why this piece was chosen, I would imagine, because it was so definitive of this artist's work. You know, if you could you know, drawings are there to sum up the painter. Let's see, and he worked from photos. Cool. Portrait nude by George Hendrik Breitner. So he may have even been a photographer. You can see him in the background. And this might be our girl too. And that's probably why there's this distortion in the, you look at her nose. Yeah, that's her. And the intensity of the darkness and the scale of her nipple, you know what I mean? I was like, well, that's curious. And then the feet being so large, is probably he may have been working off of photos.
So is that a mirror? Can we see is that a?
Yeah, that's him.
Is,
I think that's him either photographing it or sketching it.
mm-hmm.
Come on, get.
I can't quite make it out.
There.
Oh, I
Definitely,
can.
definitely a mirror. I just don't see.
Yeah.
I don't see the camera box.
No, but I see his head down and his shoulder.
It must be a sketch pad or, you know,
Yeah.
board,
An
drawing
apron.
board.
So is this a
Oh,
photograph?
yeah. This is a photo. Yeah, this is a photograph. And you can even see her hair. Her hair even makes more sense now. Do you see this little triangle on that side?
Yes.
That triangle is our triangle.
Yeah.
And it even comes to a brim. Let me visit this one. Oh no, here's a better one. Sorry. Look at this one. This one is even, so you can make out the ghost image. Oh, there's a bunch of them. Here's our girl. Let's see the hair. Oh, really? It's low res. Yes, we did tons of shoots with her. Okay, let me just go to the photos. Okay. You can yeah, there must be he's half in the light and half in the dark. He's
Yeah.
playing with photography. He's at that moment in history. And I'll send this to you. It's so much better. You can see so much more in the you can see so much more in the on my phone than you can. It's all washed out in the,
Yeah, the image of him
on the
in
screen.
the
The
mirror.
one that you're seeing, you can't see it as well. But that's, I showed it because you can see the bun that's on the top of her head too. That's too bad you can't see it as well. That's fine. I'm just wondering if this is I'm sure this is the bed, you know, when you look at it. And that's the pillow. It's just wild. It's just wild to be able to, you know, I was envisioning something, this being a much older drawing, and I should have known that it was more modern. Yeah.
Well, the hair represents a much older style hair.
No, in the photo, definitely. But like, you can't even really tell. I mean, it was the fact that there were so many straight lines that makes it 19th century.
I see.
And now I'm wondering if this was even like a tracing. I wonder if this was, I don't think it was though. No, it's a legit drawing. That was fun. Can we see what you guys ended up with? Yeah, that was great that it turned into a real person. Let me show you a self-portrait. Well, yeah, because like so much. I mean, the guys get lost. I mean, these guys get lost like 500 years ago. You know, there's only so many records. I mean, even Rembrandt, to a degree, part of his charisma, I think, that people can identify with him is because he did so many self-portraits. If you're gonna do a self-portrait, no one's gonna get to know you. Yeah, there's the drawings are very Sickardy too.
They're very what?
Walter Sickert. Here's another view of almost identical pose.
No, she's really looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Or is she looking up?
She's a muse.
Mm-hmm.
What an amusing class. Here's a self-portrait. Born 1857 and September 12th. She's a Virgo. Dutch painter and photographer.
Mm-hmm.
He was an important figure in Amsterdam Impressionism, noted especially for his figures of paintings of street scenes, harbors, in a realistic style. He painted in plein air, became interested in photography as a means of documenting street life and atmospheric events, rainy weather in particular. Oh, he likes it when it rains. He only likes it when it rains. Reference material, and he used photos as a reference for his paintings. Cool. What a treat. Made it to 65, 1923.
Wow, 65 years young.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make it that long.
Don't knock 65.
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
knocking
it's
it off.
You just
Ooh.
had a birthday, Adele.
Yeah,
Happy belated.
thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
we got it good. Whether good or bad, I don't know. But we're gonna be around for a while.
I'm gonna need to head out soon.
Yeah, I gotta roll too. Can we see it real quick? Stop share.
Who are you pinning?
You.
Me?
Mhm.
And read.
Very, very nice.
Lovely.
Very, very, very nice. Those are really
Yeah,
good
that's
rhythms.
lovely, Grace.
Yeah, you pulled out the rhythms in a graceful way. Oh,
Graceful
I did not mean that. God.
Oh, how graceful.
Okay, Adele, you're up. I'm sorry, Grace. I didn't mean that.
That's okay. I'm used to it. It's nice.
I'm sure it happens all the time. Yes.
Have a great week, Grace.
Thank you. I'll see yours quickly.
Oh,
Mine?
All right.
Yeah, the tortillion serves well today too.
You got the thighs.
Not at all.
Adele. Yeah, lovely.
I don't know. It was a little, I think she looks
Lovely.
really awkward, but that's just,
Yeah, there's something about the transition of the knee that I kept playing with too.
yeah,
And it might be a little too knobby. You know, maybe
it is.
the
Yes.
tibia, and like maybe shrink up the kneecap. You know,
Mhm.
make a small kneecap.
Yeah, I
I'm not
agree.
sure.
Seeing it like this, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know, it's also hard, I found, to figure out how thick the arms should be
Mm-hmm.
compared
Yeah.
to the thighs. And I kept struggling with that. And I still feel my arms are skinny. And I think your arms are a little skinny too, but I have no idea how, where you would fix it from.
Yeah, I know. I made it too fat at first, and she's really pretty bony up above like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it could be, it could stem from the angle of the trapezius, make that mountaintop of her shoulder a little bit higher. Maybe pull that up a little bit higher, and maybe have it. Yeah, and then if that happened, then maybe pull the low waist, maybe move that up and up higher,
You
and
mean
then
this?
closer to the torso. Yeah, no, this point.
Yeah, this transition I found really awkward.
Yeah, it's so subtle. It's
I
so
moved it
subtle.
back and forth so many times.
But your
Yeah.
face is lovely. Your
Yeah,
face.
it's very
Well,
subtle.
I went back and enlarged the head a little bit because the head looked too small once I got that enormous thigh in.
I think that the more buxom a drawing is of the female form, the more attractive.
Yeah, it's more forgiving. You can err on the hips. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
exactly. And they don't lie. The hips don't lie. Stace, let's see it.
Well, the only thing different is that I'm gonna just put a couple of dark marks under,
Punch the darks.
just a little under. That's all. And I'm covering the feet.
She
That's
looks
all.
more.
I really,
Lovely.
She looks more like she's on a bed than a board. I like that. She looks more comfortable.
oh, got it. Okay,
Alrighty.
I'll take that.
All right, party
Thank
people.
you.
See you next
See you.
time.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay,
Sure.
Adele, have a great week.
You too. Thanks.